Let me ask you this. Let's talk about should you, and the chat is welcome to weigh in, and the Discord voice chat is also welcome to weigh in. Should you start with a 5? Let's say you've practiced in the simulator and you feel pretty confident. At that point, should you go to something like a tiny whoop or a 2-inch micro, or should you go straight to a 5-inch?
I think
I lean more. I lean
I'm
more
sorry,
straight
go
to
ahead.
5-inch now. Yeah.
Stingy, you say straight to 5-inch. Steve, what are you trying to weigh in? What do you got, Steve?
I was gonna say 5-inch, but lately with all these
Yes,
brushless
exactly what
micros,
I was
like
gonna say.
the tiny whoop, not tiny whoop, the tiny
Yeah,
hawk,
the
right? Is it?
beta.
Mm-hmm. Tiny Hawk, Beta
Yeah,
FPV,
tiny hawk,
Beta
beta.
75.
Yeah, those, and they have some good durability as well. So they don't fly exactly like a 5-inch, but they're closer than a regular whoop. So I don't think you'll be
Yeah,
developing bad habits.
Yeah.
I actually got my beta 75 2S this weekend, and I flew it the entire weekend, and I'm in love
Yeah.
with that little thing. It
Yeah.
flies so good. After you tweet, you gotta tinker with the beta flight. Yeah, specs. Somebody sent me a dump in the 2S Whoop group in the Facebook, and that fixed everything. It just flies
Yeah.
amazing.
I
So close
would
to a
have
5-inch.
I would have said tiny whoop, but Stingy, you were there in Puerto Rico when we did the video teaching Blaze to fly in one day, and we started him on the sim and he got okay, and then he tried the whoop, and the thing is we had him fly in the tiny whoop indoors because we didn't want him to just dump it in the pool or put it in a tree or something, and that's actually way harder. When he got outdoors, we were on a golf course with a 5-inch quad. Yeah, it's more powerful, but you go 200 feet in the air and you have a giant golf course with nothing to crash into. He actually was way more comfortable with the 5-inch in an open area than with the tiny whoop indoors. So I'm not actually sure I would say start with a 2-inch, then a 3-inch, then a 5-inch. I mean, I see the progression there, but actually I think if you have a big open area to practice and you feel confident from the sim, I think you could go straight to 5-inch. Go to use 3S if you want to turn the power down.
Well,
Yeah,
I don't
after
know
seeing
that.
how everything went
Oh.
in Puerto Rico, I would agree with you, Josh. Before that, I would have said go with the tiny whoop, but not so much anymore.
But that was a brushed tiny whoop, right?
That is
Not
true.
the brushless.
That
Yeah.
is true.
And
So the 2S
a lot of
brushless.
those,
Big.
Go ahead.
yeah, those brushless ones. I'm not, yeah, they can be flown indoors, but I think they're more made for outdoors anyway.
Yeah,
You're not. You're.
yeah. I haven't flown mine indoor.
Somebody's trying. I heard. Yeah. Who's that trying to jump in there? Go ahead.
Dividing brief comment. I've got a friend who's been flying for almost a year now. When he first started, he started out with, he didn't go straight to sims, but it's kind of like he did both drones and sims at the same time.
Mhm.
His drone was the Vifly, I think 130, which has got a lot of proprietary stuff on it. So you crush it, you break it, and you got to send it off to the repair center to be fixed. And then his next drone after that was like the Baby Hawk R, and he crashed that enough that then he started to have to repair it. And if
Yeah.
you had to repair one of those, that's a
Nightmare.
lot of fiddly little soldering to do.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things. Now that he's come full circle and he's back on 5 and 6-inch, he's not breaking his 5 and 6 inches as much. Like, he's had some hard hits that have like ate a camera. That's a plug and play thing.
Yeah.
The component failure on the 3-inch and the 2-inch, it may be the greatest, latest ESC stacks and everything. It's just they're so much smaller that it seems like they're more sensitive to electronic failure, in my opinion.
I
So
think you're right. I think
Yeah,
you're right about that.
It's good
That-
to have a 3-inch in like the golf bag of drones for that day where you want something
Right.
to stop, alert everybody in the vicinity that you're flying something. So that's great. Plus you got the 250 gram weight limit stuff. That's great. But when it comes to like getting out there and not, I wouldn't say becoming steel or becoming stinger, but these guys,
Right.
they've been flying a certain type of drone for so long that they've got the muscle memory attached to it, so they can do certain moves, and it's second nature to them. They know they've got that repetition, they've got that muscle memory, and I think a 5-inch and a 6-inch gives you that better than any of the little stuff, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right. I will say I like flying 3-inch quads, 2-inch quads. I hate maintaining them because they're so small and integrated and fiddly to build, and everything is just so. Whereas a nice 5-inch, even a relatively compact 5-inch, like let's pick on the Armitan Rooster, which is not super roomy. It's a little tight, but you get it done and you have a lot of flexibility. Whereas the 2-inch and 3-inch ones, basically they go how they go. You have very little flexibility, and everything you have to work on them is so tiny. It really makes you struggle. I would almost rather have something like a 75 millimeter, like a Mobula 7 or a Beta 75. With those things, it's just basically, or even an Acroby, which I think is a 65 millimeter. Those things are just a single board and some motors. And what's going to break? Nothing breaks. And if anything breaks, you just put a new board in. So, yeah, the 2-inch and 3-inch ones, I think, are a struggle. They're fun to fly.
Really quick thing. It goes to the 3-inch versus 5-inch. My friend, he got to learn how to solder on his Baby Hawk R, and that's rough. That's really hard to be able to, when you're learning on stuff small and you're learning about cold solder joints, all those different things, thin wires, you're just compounding by being on a tiny little board that's like sub 20 by 20, it seems like.
Yep. So there you go. I saw in the comments that Ripthy Jacka said, "Thanks, guys. I think I'll look into building a 5-inch." If you are interested in building a 5-inch, I'm obligated to point out I have a build series. Learn to build this drone, quad, whatever I said. Maybe somebody will, and it's associated with a product on the Rotor Riot store. You can buy all of the parts, and then you can follow along with my build video. And I go into all the detail, as you know, from me. Even if you decide not to buy that kit from Rotor Riot, actually just watching the build series that I do, it's still got a lot of good tips in there. And especially the Betaflight setup is going to be sort of universal, not exactly the same. I would still recommend, just watch it, if you can. But if you want to pick that up, it's actually, I think it's going to be back in stock on Monday. We're waiting for the frames to come back in stock. And so if you go over to the store.rotorriot.com and find the JB budget build kit, hit that notify button and you'll get an email when it's back in stock, and certainly worth considering if you're going to do a 5-inch build.
Well, hey, Joshua, on that note, real quick, since we're still on the subject of, between, micros or a 5-inch build, I would lean towards going towards a 5-inch just because that's a much more popular platform. There's a lot more development that's got into, like, not just building, but also, tuning them and maintaining them. There's also build videos on pretty much every popular frame out there, whereas I haven't seen a whole lot of that for stuff. So when inevitably you crash and you have to break something, finding information on how to, fix your quad, that's going to be a lot easier on a 5-inch than it is going to be on a 3-inch. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, for sure.